Hi, this is Artin Behdad, and in this video I'm gonna talk about managing the trade and how to move your stop loss. Actually, it's very important because many people, many traders don't move their stop loss. It's wrong because in many cases price goes in their way and comes back, and despite they could end up with profit, with money, they will end up with loss. So it's very important to know a stop loss, how to set it, the position, and how to move your stop loss. In this video, at first, I will talk about a couple of important tips about the stop loss. And second, how to move your stop loss in different position of the trend. Okay, so stay with me to the end. At first, the most important point about the stop loss is please put your stop loss in any single trade. It's not optional, it's necessary. You know, I want to emphasize it very much because it's very important. You should set your stop loss in any single trade. I've seen many people, many traders, no, let's call them people, because their life in trading was too short that we can call them trader. Actually, one of them was one of my friends, and this story is belonged to, I think, a couple of years before I even started trading. They lost around $60,000 in 1 week just because they don't use a stop loss, because he didn't use a stop loss. A stop loss is very important, especially in Forex. You know, I'm Forex trader, and I don't want to talk about other markets like stocks. I don't talk about those markets, but in this market, this high leveraged market, setting a stop loss is not optional. It's necessary, and you should set in your every single trade. Actually, myself, when I wanted to put a trade, I use a stop order. Actually, in all of my trades, in buy a stop and sell a stop. First, I write a stop loss, then price. You know, because it's very important. Because I've seen some traders write trade, write price, place it, and then modify the trade. Don't do that because, you know, it's possible when you put your trade in this short time, something happens in your computer, in your internet connection, or I don't know, in your life. You shouldn't have an open position in the market without the stop loss. I never do that because it jeopardizes my career. Every time I want to set a trade, first I write a stop loss, then price, then place. Okay? So, the point here, set a stop loss in any single trade. The second point is let market tell you where you should put your stop loss. You know, I've seen some strategies, I don't know about profitable or not, just talk about strategy, that says, for example, set your stop loss 15 pip. In EURUSD, for example, 5 minutes, set your stop loss 10 pip. Or, you know, I don't know, for hours, set your stop loss 100 pips. Actually, it's nonsense. You know, you shouldn't decide where you should put your stop loss. Market should tell you where you should put your stop loss. You should just listen to the market, okay? How? I will tell you in a couple of minutes. I will tell you how. But at this point, listen to me. Listen to the market, and market will tell you where you should your stop loss. If I want to tell you a definition about your stop loss position, it will be your stop loss is the closest position to the price that if it hits, it means the movement is over and new movement in opposite direction has formed. It's a little difficult because too long sentence. I will explain it what I'm going to say, but right now, just once again, I want to repeat it. The closest position to the price that if it hits, it means the current movement is over and new movement in opposite direction has formed. I will tell you what I mean in a second. In every trend, we have 3 points. beginning of the trend, end of beginning of trend, end of the trend, and the middle. Middle is the distance between beginning and end of the trend. If you don't know how to define this point, beginning and end of the trend in advance, it's the problem in your analyzing system. And I recommend you to watch my analyzing course. It's a free course, and the link is below of this video, and you can check it and learn how to define beginning and end of the trend in advance. Right now, because I want to talk about a stop loss, I would rather to assume you know to define these 2 points in advance and continue with this presumption. Okay, at the beginning of the trend, that's where we enter the trend, and our stop loss is our initial stop loss. Let's assume my trade is here. I set the buy stop. My stop loss is the closest, the definition of a stop loss, the closest price to the closest position to the price that if it hit, it means our movement is, our prediction and our movement is over and it's come back. At the beginning of the trend, when we put our entry, our stop loss is where if it hits, it means our signal is cancelled, and I don't know, we should revise the signal or we wait for another opportunity. So in our strategy is the law of the below of the previous law to the price. You know, this is the beginning of trend, and our strategy is here. It means when price reached here, market tells us our entry stop is not correct. The second thing about initial stop loss is after you set the stop loss and it hits by the price, you never can move your stop loss further in opposite direction of your trade. For example, this is by a stop. When it hits here, you can't move your stop loss in down direction. Why? Because it avoids your money management rules. And if you broke your money management rule, I promise you, you won't survive in this career. Okay? So never move your stop loss further. You can move your stop loss in direction of your trade. For example, when price comes here, maybe you want to put your stop loss, move your stop loss to break even. Okay? You should never move your stop loss further. Initial stop loss. Okay. About the middle of the trend. The middle of the trend is the distance between the beginning of the trend and the end of the trend. In this area, you should move your stop loss the closest position to the price. Remember that if it's hits, it means the trend is over. Maybe you just want to ask, trend will over at this point. No, it's not. You know, we don't live in ideal worlds. We don't trade in ideal market. Forex market is not ideal. In many times, I don't want to fool you. In many times, you predict this is the end of the trend, but market comes here, price comes here, and comes back again. You know, it's completely natural. You should prepare yourself for different scenarios. Okay? So we move our stop loss here. I'll give you where that if price hit it before reaching the end of the trend, it means price wants to come back. But keep in mind something. We can't move our stop loss too close to the market, because many times you can see markets comes back and again goes in our way, comes back, goes in our way, comes back, goes in our way, and we should take all of this profit. So don't move your stop loss too close to the market. And in my case, in this case, I move my stop loss in the below of these lows, because in a usual trend trend usually doesn't come back and hits some minor correction and goes again. And I move to below of these lows because it's a rational distance to price, and if it hits it, it means markets want to come back and the trend is over. And how long below of this, how many pip below of these lows, I will tell you in my next video, because in the next video I will talk about how to set trade at stop loss properly in pip wise, and I will tell you how many pips you should make a difference between this low and your stop loss. The last position of the trend is the end of the trend, and you should find it in advance. At the end of the trend, my recommendation is move your stop loss to the low of the last bar. I mean in uptrend, and downtrend high of the last bar. You know, at the end of the trend, because we know in advance the trend is over, we can't keep our stop loss here. We should move it very close to the market, very close to the price, because we know in advance it wants to turn back. Why we should leave all this profit from here to here? Okay? So move your stop loss to the below of the last bar and trail it with the bar until you stop out. Now, many traders maybe have a question why we should move our stop loss to the last bar, why we shouldn't just close the trade, you know? As I told you, market is not ideal. You know, in markets, many things can happen, and we should prepare ourselves for those circumstances. One of the best circumstances that in Forex market can happen is market can surprise us by profit. It's very good situation, and it happens a lot. For example, here, this is a correction, and we have predict this is the end of the trend, this to zone, and we want to put our stop loss very close to the market. Okay, price comes here and price reached the zone. Some traders think they should close manually. They should close their trade and take their profit. I recommend you to not do. Just trail your stop very close to the market and trail it. So I trail it here to the last bar. This is my new stop loss because I think it's the end of the trend. Okay, in the next bar, you can see I hasn't stopped out. Next bar, I trail it here. I see I trailed it here. I mean I remove the previous stop and place it here. You can see market goes higher. I didn't stop out. It's a little point, and this distance I will prepare for this distance in Forex market. I will tell you in my next videos how many pip you should have a distance between the low. Please don't miss my next videos. I trail it here, and now I have stopped out. Watch the difference. Some traders who exit the trade manually, it's their profit, and what is my profit? This is huge, you know. So I trail my stop loss and trail it till I stopped out. And you can see in this market is not ideal, but this not non-ideal thing is in our advantage, and we like it very much. So if I want to wrap up and make a conclusion in this video, first, you should put your stop loss in every single trade. Second, you should listen to the market when you put your stop loss based on market formation, not pips. Then market has 3 positions. I told you in beginning of the trend, middle of the trend, end of the trend, where you should put your stop loss. And important thing, you never should move your stop loss further. Initial stop loss in the beginning of the trend. That's it. And I have a question from you. Do you change your stop loss strategy after any loss or some losses? Please write it to me, because it's a psychology problem and I want to know about it. Okay, take care.